up today, and I'm working on. I'll try to make a video demo of it, so it's a little easier to do. Oh, and we're going now.
Awesome. WIKISPEED Team Scrum Ceremonies, July 10th, 2014. And at the moment, Chris, it's just you and I, and we'll see who else happens to dial in.
Did you want me to start with the demoing this, or?
I think that'd be awesome if you don't mind, if you're about ready. If you wouldn't mind sharing your screen and walking us through that demo, I think that would be Candyland.
Hello.
Hello, Lauren.
Hello.
Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Welcome.
Okay, I'm going to screen share. That should be my screen share there. So I'm just going to go real quick through do a demo on the 2 pages I added to the website, or changed around somewhat. So the first one is the donate page. It's available directly under Support Us, and all of this content was taken from the previous, I believe, Support Us page, which now if you click on it goes to nowhere. And the only thing that was changed was this first entry was basically saying that you could buy that we need you to buy a full car, which those are no longer available. So I changed the wording there to just basically buy from the store, and that links directly to the store.
Hello.
Yeah, we're sold out is the language that I'd care to use, because it's true. We said we'd make 10, and we made 10.
Okay.
But we do still make the modules, so people can still prototype their own, because all 8 modules are still available. But the turnkey cars are sold out.
Yeah. So all of the modules are still available in the store. Of course, anything that was available on the previous store site, so the crash test, the DVD of open source plans, I believe the T-shirts still available here.
Yep.
So everything should be available. And then also I created a terms and conditions page that basically just takes the wording from the bottom of the previous store page to show what the refund policy is, and what the guarantees and warranties and things like that are. And that is currently that is not in the navigation site. I plan next week to actually put that probably as a footer in the store, and then I actually have to get down into the theme and do a little bit of coding to change that around.
Oh wow. Okay. Thanks.
But it shouldn't be a problem. I just didn't get to it this week. And that should be the end of my demo there. Unshare the screen.
Thanks so much, Chris. Appreciate it, and looks really good. Lauren, would you like to go next? Does now fit for you?
Sure. Apologies. Last time I logged in, I literally heard the sound as growls. It sounded like a meeting of Tasmanian devils.
Which is like a open source volunteer automotive company, yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to start with my blocks. I had blocks this week. Emergency came up. I right now got a dental emergency, but I did take a short look at the 501c stuff, and so I've got to start on that, and I'll talk more about it in my sprint planning.
Okay, sounds good. But what were you able to do in the last week aside from dental challenges?
Aside from what?
Dental challenges. Yeah.
Yeah. No. Other than that, actually, I'm better set up. I'm very well set up and ready to, do some more work. I'm possibly a guy I know. Handyman came and I showed him WIKISPEED, and he's sort of interested. So if I can get another person here, then maybe we can have a little kind of local, co-located group.
Awesome. Wouldn't that be Magic Land? Thanks for spreading the good news. Good news, Lord. I am happy to go next. Last week was a lot of CAD, prompted by someone purchasing our open source DVD. And the link in the store specifically says these are all available freely online, but if you send us $100, we'll aggregate them together and send them to you so you have an offline copy that's also a frozen version in time. And we got a purchase of one of those beginning of last week. I think that's the timing. And I realized that some of our CAD was hopelessly, well, not hopelessly, but it was out of date. It didn't reflect what we'd been building. So I'll bring up my little list here. I'll screen share. I created engine mounts CAD, transmission mounts CAD. I updated the engine module version 4 CAD, and I started on the engine module version 5 CAD, but we don't claim stuff unless they're done. I updated the R18 engine CAD. That's the Honda R18A engine from the 2006 to current Honda Civic. I updated the R18 transmission CAD. I updated the front crush structure CAD, the rear crush structure CAD. I reorganized the WIKISPEED _CAD Dropbox folder. I updated the tested version of record CAD assembly, which is indicative of the most advanced version of CAD that's been tested and built. Now we have stuff in CAD that's more advanced, but it's not fully validated, so those aren't yet the version of record. Then worked with Rob Moorbacher to provide access to the latest version of the Roadster CAD. That's still in progress, actually, so I really can't count that as done. I did some backlog grooming. I hope to do a little bit more right at the end of stand-up before I enter the shop at 7 p.m. Pacific tonight. I swapped the outdoor lights. They were CFL light bulbs outside the WIKISPEED Linwood shop with 6-watt LED lights that were as bright, and they have a built-in motion sensor and day-night sensor. And when they're not active, they're only pulling half a watt, which is awesome. So I just put those in today. We'll see how well they work or not. But they were like $8 each on Amazon. Could be worth it. And I cleaned some of the shop. I'll get to sprint planning shortly. Let's do a little bit of a demo. So here's the WIKISPEED CAD Dropbox folder, the way it sits right now. All modules integrated is a folder that has various assemblies of the car all put together, included the tested version of record from last year, and then I just made a new one today. And actually there's still more to add, but the CAD that is on here is the tested most current version of each module. Since it's loading each and every module, it's kind of big, so it still takes a little bit to load, whereas each individual module loads in just seconds. This is Geomagic Design, put out by Libre Design, acquired by 3DS Systems. So here's our chassis CAD, and that's still the same version of the chassis that we started with. The bolt-together chassis is in testing, but this one is welded, and the TIG weld seams are shown in color, joining each assembly. Then it has the current version of the pedal plate with a mock-up, well, also with the appropriate brackets that we use for the S2000 steering rack, the cutout we use for the steering rack, steering column, and the mount holes we use for the Willwood Brakemaster cylinder and the Honda R18A accelerator pedal. So that is the current CAD. If you sent that CAD to a water jet cutter, you'd get what we're using. Here's the current version of the front crush structure that has a clearing for the end of the S2000 steering rack. And this tube, it's not a full CAD of the S2000 steering rack, but it's a tube that's exactly the same length as the S2000 steering rack. So that's a stub waiting to be better CAD. It shows the underfloor for the chassis, and it even shows the points in which it's riveted on. And then it's chosen to be red, but this is engine module V4, which has 2 built-in crossbars, one here and one here. And these are welded and TIG welded, although I look forward to a bolted version, which Michael Olchek has done, but I don't have good CAD of it yet. So this is the best tested CAD. Those mount to the transmission on one side and the engine on the other side through a 1-inch block of polyurethane. And by adjusting the durometer, you adjust the noise, vibration, and harshness of the engine module. This block represents the Honda R18A engine module. However, at least it has the engine mounts in the correct place, and that is its overall dimension. And then this slightly more accurate transmission model is the transmission, which does show the correct width of the area of the housing as it connects to the axles. This is the correct size of the axle nose, and it actually does have the axle internals mated in here, and the axle outboard end at the correct width, which is a good start. And then this is the current tested version of the suspension. Although we have a much updated version in test, it's not out of test yet. So this is still the current version, and it does have a bug. It doesn't allow for rear parking brakes on this car. It uses front brakes all around. It was the braking setup we developed for the X Prize, which was very fast, excellent braking, but it doesn't provide for a rear parking brake, which is part of what's being tested now. But if someone water jet cut this CAD, you can see the A-arm assembly is actually part of this suspension plate. So when that gets cut out, it becomes this piece here. So we have some parts nested. This strut top mount angle we cut from the same 6" by 6" by 3/8 inch thick plate as we do the steering rack mounts. So those are typically cut at once. Then this is the engine module frame. However, I don't have the seat belt or seat mounts in it, so I can't call that done. So I realized our CAD was quite a bit behind what we are currently building. What else? The rear crush structure, we found if we stand it off with columns of washers, we have a little bit more room to prevent it from rubbing with the engine module, and that seems to work much better. So that's a recent enhancement, and I did add it to CAD here. So if someone replicated the car just from CAD, they'd have that. What I'm working with Rob Moorbacher on right now is setting the Roadster body on top so people can see how it integrates. And I hope to eventually create the Willwood master cylinder, although that's a store-bought part, but it would show exactly where it bolts in. The pedal, which actually I do have done, and I can add it to this CAD, and then update the interior module with seat belts and seat mounting points, and eventually seats, although it's actually a kind of a complex shape, the seat that we currently buy in its seat sliders. But I do hope to get them in. And that's the current state of the CAD. Yeah, I'll save that. That's the, and there's a little bit more stuff done, but it's not visual except for a video filmed from last week's build party, which was epically successful. We had a tremendous amount of people attending, and I did shoot a demo video of all 25 folks, 5 teams of 5, getting all types of work done, especially innovation work that we didn't have an answer for. So they pulled user stories that weren't do this, it was solve a problem like this, and here's the test to know when you're done. Or one of the user stories was even figure out this test so that we can try to figure out how to pass the test. And they did an awesome job. So that's another part of the demo is that video that I hope to have on youtube.com/wikispeed tonight. As far as blocking issues, I still don't have an elegant brake line solution. I still have the clumsy solution we used in the X Prize, which works, but it's inelegant. I do have a blocking issue in that I don't seem to be able to solve that well. And I have another blocking issue in that I do need to find a way to inexpensively get more velocity assembling our Honda R18A engine modules. We have plenty of parts, but I need people with basic mechanics skill to help me put them together. I do have one guy doing it in Renton, but I really could use a lot more help cheaply. People with some automotive mechanics background, maybe they've been a maintenance tech or worked in a parts dealer or in a maintenance shop. That would be awesome. So maybe I need to put out a Craigslist ad or ask someone to put out a Craigslist ad for me to help get those done. They're standard Honda parts, so if people are able to work on a 2006 or newer Honda Civic, they are able to build this version of the engine module. And I'd love that help. If people can figure out how to help me unblock that block, that'd be huge. That's what I know about. Who'd like to go next?
I'm going to... I guess I kind of started in the middle of the demo, so I didn't cover a couple of other backlog items that I did. So skip those. Obviously, yeah, I created the donate and terms and conditions page, and then I created a couple or few cards in Carica about getting pictures of some of the latest modules to put on the store page, and then also maybe more updated descriptions or more elaborate descriptions. I also read through the documents for the requirements for this Tarrant County College Innovation Forum. I haven't actually started writing anything for it yet, but I've at least gone through and seen what their basic criteria is. So blocks, I don't have any written down anyway that I can think of off the top of my head. I have one question for you real quick, Joe, about assembling the engines. Does that have to be done locally? Does shipping cost prohibit it being done in another location and then shipped to wherever they need to be?
Shipping's not insubstantial because they're quite heavy, but it's not impossible. So no, if there's a place where people say, yeah, we're set up, we can get them done, it is worth it. But it would probably cost about $500 to $800 each way, most places within the continental U.S. When we ship an entire car, it's about $1,500 each way from Seattle, Washington to, say, somewhere along the Mississippi. Past that, it gets a little bit more expensive. As a boundary, as an FYI.
Okay. The only reason I was asking is part of this innovation forum is trying to integrate into several departments at this school, and one, of course, they're interested in is their automotive department. And while the automotive department won't be really keen on developing modules, they would probably be very keen on, basically assembling some of the modules and getting them shipped. So I don't know. They say it's about a 3-month process, so it's kind of a ways off.
We should totally do it. If they agree to make these part of our curriculum, it's worth the shipping cost.
Okay.
Because right now, paying a Craigslist mechanic, it's about $1,000 per engine. To put that into perspective, to pay a shop, it would be, I'd guess, closer to $2,500 per engine module. That's probably about what the labor rate would be. What I'd love to do is work with a college like that with an automotive program. If they'd agree, you can see how that'd be dollars ahead, more dollars to develop other stuff.
Good.
With that, we did what we did last week and demo simultaneously, which actually fit kind of well, especially since we had a small group. But I wonder if we might even try that again next sprint, see how that works. Which then takes us to retrospective. I feel like I'm absolutely happy in my role. I had the tools I needed to produce a lot of CAD. I was lucky enough to have several cars and engine modules in front of me. Being in the Renton joint venture factory, there were 1, 2, 3 cars all laid out in front of me. That was pretty inspiring to see that many WIKISPEED cars right next to each other, side by side. It looked like an actual going concern. It was pretty exciting. And they were all beautiful. Like, those were all new cars, too. I mean, there's more older cars, but those were all 3 new cars with roadster bodies. Oh, yeah, so Sunday, working at the joint venture factory, I also did some aerodynamics development, trimmed one of the aeroshells to fit better over a new windshield module, recorded some notes on how to better attach the race version of the windshield, did some development on the lighting system, mounting the LEDs on one of the aeroshells, and measured for mirrors, rearview mirrors on one of the aeroshells. We did some work with the cars in the JVF, the joint venture factory, on Sunday. So retrospective, a 10 in roll. I got to be very effective. There wasn't a lot slowing me down. For the team, a 9. We're aiming more towards the C3, I think. Looking by the backlog and the way it's going, I do see a volume car coming out of this. And I had a conversation with the owners of our joint venture factory. They're aiming to produce 10,000 WIKISPEED cars as soon as we say that the version of record is the one we want to produce 10,000 of. So we still have bugs, and I'd like to at least squash the known bugs before we do something like that. So there's more to do before we can give them the go-ahead. But absolutely exciting to hear that level of appetite. And being in the factory, it looks perfectly possible. So a 9. And the only reason I'd say a 9 is because I've still got to figure out how to squash those bugs, and some of them I don't know how to solve. So I'll have to figure it out and pair with people who know how. But thrilling. The process improvement, I might suggest next sprint, maybe we start with stand-up/demo. Since we do a weekly Scrum ceremony, maybe that works. I'd be interested in trying it, seeing if that works well, and gets the visual part of the conversation right at the front of our Scrum ceremony. So I'll propose that. Who would like to go next with retrospective?
I can. So let's see. On retro, I'm giving myself 2 because I had plans and wasn't able to follow through. For the team, I'm staggered. There's 10,000 WIKISPEED cards. It's like the last part of 2010 when all millions of those monoliths were coming out of Jupiter. Anyway, yeah, that's incredible. 10.
Lauren, do you happen to have a process improvement suggestion? I'd love to hear any thoughts.
Oh yeah,
happier
something
or
to concentrate on. You said.
I'd love to hear any thoughts on happier or faster.
I'll have something in the sprint planning, but as far as something this week, it's yours.
I guess I'll go ahead and go real quick too to follow up. I'm going to go with probably a 7 for me. Not really thinking about my role as much as what I was able to get done, I think. But yeah, I really didn't. I usually try to spread out the WIKISPEED tasks throughout the week, and I really just didn't get anything done this week and tried to jam it all into the last couple of hours before the meeting here, make it look like I actually got some good stuff done. I'm going to go with a 9 for the team. Everything's still progressing awesome. I would, as a process improvement, this is really not necessarily a process improvement, but I'd like to see more people involved in these stand-up meetings. I know on these meetings, I think there's a limit of like 10 people that can join up easily, and I'd like to break that limit and find out how we have to deal with that. So I think that would be neat. So I don't know that this is a process improvement, but I would maybe as a task for me, I want to get a list and send out an email to everyone that is on the WIKISPEED team and see if they have, like, create just a short survey to see what their block is from being able to attend one weekly meeting, and then see if we can start knocking those blocks out of the way. So again, I don't think that's a process improvement for the whole team. So I think the demo and everything and backlog together is good, but that's at least something I'm going to work on. So, and that's it for me.
Is there anyone on the call with a retrospective who has not yet given it? Okay, complete. Exactly to your point, Chris. It's amazing when I work with, in aggregate, oh gosh, maybe 50 different people in 1 week on different aspects of the WIKISPEED project. It depends on the week. Some weeks maybe it's 5. Some weeks maybe it's a little bit more than 50. And then we have our Scrum ceremonies, and there's, I don't know, 1 to 10 of us, right? So wouldn't it be valuable if we could, now we have had a few big ones, but those have only been a few. Those are the exception. So wouldn't it be valuable? I love your idea of a survey. I'm a huge fan. So I'll actually propose that as a process improvement, we send out a, to start with, a weekly survey saying what would make it easier for you to participate in weekly Scrum ceremonies. Currently, they're at this time on Hangouts. What would make it easier? I would actually say that's probably the most important one that was mentioned, that the potential impact is huge. I would endorse that. Anyone with a modification of that proposal, please propose it now, or say nay or yay. I will happily accept thumbs up. Or American Sign Language for the deaf for applause. Awesome. Okay, then that then takes us to sprint planning. In the next week, I need to tighten the suspension module A-arms for the prototype front suspension. They're stubbed onto one of our test cars in the Linwood shop, but they need to be tightened. And then I hope to create updated CAD that we can send to the water jet cutter of those A-arms, because that provides for the parking brake and better high-speed stability. Two very important bugs could be squashed if this works. So continuing to iterate, it's been a focus for some time, and it's awesome. Also, last sprint, our Kaizen, our continuous improvement, our process improvement, was more testing, test-driven development, and we did develop a new suspension test last Thursday as a result of that process improvement suggestion, so that did happen. This week, I hope to publish the video of the plan of that test and start iterating that test, creating it. It requires a test fixture to be built, so I hope to start creating that test fixture. It's for endurance testing of the suspension, so putting accelerated loads on it and doing accelerated stress testing, which I'm totally jazzed about. See if we can pass those tests. Then also this week, let me bring up my little note. I do hope to pair with the team in the shop tonight to assemble the seat sliders on another pair of seats, and then bolt the seats to the seat sliders, and then measure and mark the location of the seats in Interior Module 5, and if I'm really lucky, even install them. Then I do hope to update the steering column mount in CAD, because I have a measurement that's not right on it right now. I hope to remeasure the engine module mount for engine module V4, and I hope to remeasure the transmission mount for engine module V4. And I hope to remeasure the axle location in engine module V4, because it's close, but it's not exactly right on in CAD, and I'd like to get those critical things like axle location and mounts down to the millimeter, so that people can trust that part of the CAD. Yep, that sounds like what I aim to do over the course of this next week, this next sprint, and hopefully that'll result in acceleration towards the C3's suspension. Who would like to go next?
I can. First of all, my ignorance, I thought this was Occupy applause. Anyway, yeah, so the planning the planning is to formulate and kind of send out a set of questions to do with both the 501c and the overall organization, because I think they're interrelated, and maybe prepare for, in the next 4 weeks, maybe a sit-down meeting of an hour, one or more sit-down meetings of an hour to talk about those things. And I don't know if that makes sense or not, but I think it's pretty far-reaching, some of the things. And what I'm seeing in the 501c, I'm going to say a little bit about it and the problem I'm facing. We are unusual, like Pippi Longstocking. So we don't fit exactly, and they give examples of 501c organizations' goals. And just as when we were trying, we thought we wanted to apply for that free legal assistance, and also in applying for the service mark, we didn't exactly fit the categories. So I'm working on a formulation. I'll come up with one. It's broad enough. Like, for example, giving jobs to unemployed people is one category that works. So, but anyway, I wanted to try and get something that will work as a goal for the organization. I also ran across something that you might be interested in, Joe, which is when foundations tell you they can't give to you unless you're a 501c, it's not true. they are allowed to give to anyone provided it fits with their 501c kind of categories. However, in practice, most of them shy away because they have to do some work if they give to something that doesn't fit. But I just thought I'd let you know about that.
And it's taxable too, right?
I'm not sure about that. No, I think if it fits in with their goals, I'm not sure. I'm not sure about all the details of that. There's a huge amount of tax benefits, but there's also restrictions. And the other thing that would require a sit-down meeting or a long meeting is that I'm thinking of different arms like the revenue stream arm, the lobbying arm, and this kind of thing. So yeah, it's a big deal. That's it. That's it for me.
Love it, Lauren. I'll quickly say that I'm an opponent. I'm opposed to sit-down meetings, but I'm a huge proponent of working sessions. So if we have a backlog and an outcome, count me in.
I'll also, Lauren, try to be available whenever we try to get together to discuss that. I've actually done some work looking into nonprofits before, and it gives me such a headache to deal with it, so I've kind of been trying to stay a little out of the loop on it, but I do have a little bit of experience with it, so would be happy to sit down and maybe help hash it out. But for next week, here I have written that I'm going to add the terms and conditions page to the footer of the store page, but I'll say at least I'm going to add it somewhere on the site. I'll probably know most about where to put it and how to present it when I actually go to do it. I plan on contacting the Tarrant County College Innovation Forum liaison to see if I can actually get a copy of, if they've done one of these programs successfully through this Innovation Forum, if I can get a copy of that document, of their application, to see what kind of wording they like, how they really want it set up. And then my other plan there is to make a demo of how to pre-schedule these Hangout on Air meetings for these stand-ups, whether it be a video demo or a written demo or screenshots or something. But I'll make sure I get something up there so that other people can actually take over on making sure these get done. And that's it for me.
I'm a massive fan of our proposed sprint plannings. If we got everything done we just said, I mean, where would we be? We would potentially have a suspension for the production intent car. We would have demos of how to record and propagate our information sharing sessions, our Scrum ceremonies, and we'd be well on our way to being the first federally recognized nonprofit certified automotive manufacturer ever. Interestingly, the Ford Foundation, Henry Ford, tried to take Ford to be a nonprofit in, I think it was the 1930s, and he had a 90% stake. And he wielded 90% of Ford as a nonprofit for many, many years. But 10%, which I think was owned by the Dodge brothers, they wouldn't go for it. And at that time in the law, he wasn't able to overrule them, even though he went to court to try to make Ford a nonprofit. But apparently 90% of it was run as a nonprofit for many, many years with the primary goal of providing jobs. Which, wow. Interesting. However, if we pulled this off, we would be the very first, to my knowledge, federally recognized nonprofit certified automotive manufacturer. Right now, we are the very first state-recognized, we're a Washington State nonprofit, and an international, the first United States nonprofit certified auto manufacturer. If we pulled this sprint planning off, we would have made a little bit of history and gotten closer to some good goals of ours. Folks, with that concludes the Scrum ceremonies. That's all we need to do to coordinate on the company. And I'm glad there's a few of us on this call. I look forward to the process improvement, and I hope to help, by the way, to the point of having more folks in this critical ceremony. Luckily, we've got a lot more folks completing backlog, but I wish they had input during the Scrum ceremonies, and we'll keep trying to find a format that works better for people. We'll continue to inspect and adapt. Folks, with that, we can open it up to cross conversation. But I'll say I'm probably not going to stay on all the way until 7 because I need to change before I get down to the shop and put on shop clothes. And I need to look at Carica and add a few tasks so that I'm best prepared to meet whoever shows up tonight.
I don't have anything to discuss further.
Me neither. Me neither. It was a great stand-up, though.
Folks, it's an honor and a privilege to work with you gentlemen, and all of the team, even the ones who couldn't make it on this Scrum ceremony call. But fantastic to share with you gentlemen. I look forward to high-fiving all of us in person at our earliest convenience. And in the meantime, it's wonderful to collaborate remotely. You guys are awesome.
Thanks, Joe. Good night.